Hey, fantastic fam. Welcome to our community where we combine the woo and the work. We are two professional women who believe we can have it all and constantly upgrade ourselves to meet our visions. I'm Kalyani and I've chosen the off-roading paths to personal development, being an entrepreneur with the journey of motherhood. I'm an economics postgraduate and I love working with all things mind and money. I've founded and sold one business and I'm now building this business that feels like fun and freedom for life.
Hi, I'm Rupali. I'm a numbers nerd turned Reiki master and many other things. I found a passion for all things wellness. I've worked in banking and finance for 15 years and I love combining that knowledge with all things energetics to create impact in a fun, easy way for others. Join us as we share the behind the scenes of us creating wealth, freedom and magic.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Fantastic Females, and I'm on this journey of sharing bite-sized information on money mindset that generally leads to combining the woo and the work. So let's get going. Today I wanted to speak about how we frame our thoughts, and I would like to bring your attention to something that might seem a little basic, but you'll be surprised that we often don't practice this. So what I want you to be honest about is whether you're positively framing your desires, your goals, and your thoughts. Some of us may have watched the movie The Secret while growing up. It got really popular. It became really popular in the early 2000s. And that was the first time I heard this concept about the universe not understanding the word no. And at first it seemed like a very abstract concept, but when I actually came into spirituality, new age spirituality I should say, by which I mean meditation, working on energetics proactively, the first session that I attended, which was to do with self-hypnosis, had the example of not trying to think about a pink elephant. If I tell you to not think about a pink elephant, you will naturally think about a pink elephant. If I ask you to not think about a crocodile in a tutu, you would be thinking about a crocodile in a tutu. That's because our subconscious does not process the word no. It's because also when we hear a statement like that, our focus is on the subject of the statement, which is in this case either the pink elephant or the crocodile in the tutu. So a lot of the times what we're doing is we are pining for something, we're constantly working towards something, we're running around in circles to make things happen, but all our focus is actually not being where we don't want to be. For example, you may be working very hard to lose weight so that you don't become unhealthy. While this is a very noble desire, this definitely has merit, but after a point, it stops being motivating for a lot of people, and then it needs either sheer willpower or discipline to kind of force your way through to the finish line. Instead, if the statement or if the motivation was coming from a place of becoming fitter, of being able to do XYZ exercises with ease, I want to play with my kids without being out of breath, or actually let's eliminate the without there as well. I want to play with my kids with full energy, with full vitality. Feel the difference in these statements. Feel the difference that they have in how they impact your body, how they impact your mind, what feels lighter, what feels more expansive. Similarly, if I was to take an example about career goals and related to income in the business scenario. So you may have revenue goals, but you may be thinking of these revenue goals in terms of, I want to make this amount so that I don't end up poor. I want to make this amount so that all my money doesn't run out. I want to make this amount so that I am not broke, so that I so on and so forth. It's a struggle to think about some of these examples sometimes when I've really worked on my own mindset. But instead, if we were to reframe these negative statements and frame them positively in the money context, in the revenue goals context, would it not feel more expansive? Would it not feel lighter, more aligned to think of it in terms of, I would love to make more money so that I can pay my bills with ease and joy. I would love to make more money so that I have the freedom to take breaks when I want to. I would love to make more money so that it supports my lifestyle and my growth. I find this extremely inspiring, and it doesn't need me to discipline my way through feeling motivated day in and day out. It gets me out of the bed with a spring in my step and a smile on my face. So instead of focusing on the problem, or what we like to instead call as a challenge in NLP coaching, we want to instead focus on the outcome. So change your focus from the problem to the outcome. And somewhere the problem focus tends to come from a need to dig, a need to find someone to blame, need to find something to kind of move away from. And instead, if we were able to hold our self-worth constant and differentiate between ourselves as a person and our behavior, meaning that we can only question our behavior but not ourselves or our self-worth, which is why I don't like this thinking that's out in the coaching world where you earn your self-worth. My self-worth, my mood, my happiness has nothing to do with how much I earn. What it has to do with is the work that I've put in, the energy that I'm bringing to the table, the clarity that I bring in my messaging. Also, I wouldn't say that the problem frame is totally useless. It is quite useful when we have a strong motivation to move away from something, which is especially useful when we think of addictions. And this might also be quite relevant for spending addictions. If you have experienced in your life that anytime you feel down or there's something that's bothering you, and pressing some buttons on the screen or going to the mall, makes you feel better, then, and if that's the only thing that makes you feel better, or if what you buy isn't actually of value to you but it makes you feel better momentarily just to kind of change the energy of the moment, then there is probably something around an energy block around spending. It could sometimes show up as overspending as well, which you would then want to move away from. So in such cases, or in heavier addiction cases, a problem frame could be helpful. But apart from that, if you could simply just day in and day out focus on what you want to accomplish, simply just focus on what you actually want instead of what you wouldn't want, what you don't want. And this shift constantly, when you train your thoughts to constantly think like this, I guarantee you it will be life-changing. From offshoots of this question would be to think about what it would mean for you to now look back having already accomplished this. How would it feel? How would your body feel? How would your life look? How would people around you react? How would you be making decisions? Once you start operating from this energy, it will almost not matter whether this desire comes to fruition, whether it manifests in your reality or not, because actually as energetic beings, we are always trying to get to that energetic point of having met our desires, having met our goals. So focus on what you want to accomplish and what it would mean for you looking back now, having already accomplished this. What makes it so important for you? How would you feel? How would that impact your decisions? What are some of the things you've already accomplished in this area that are important to you? So build proof of being able to do this, even mini proofs, making small adjustments, or in the example of weight loss, losing a few centimeters around your waist or any other body part, or just simply showing up consistently, being consistent with your exercise, with your food, and how your life will be different when you get what you want. All of this is kind of tied together to focusing on what you want to accomplish and how does it feel now that you have accomplished this. If you're able to focus on these day in and day out, you will be looking at a different life in about 6 months or a year's time. Let me know if you found this useful. Leave some comments, leave feedback for us on the podcast. We love to hear back from you. Until next time.
We would really appreciate your feedback as reviews on the podcast app you tune in from. Support us also by sharing this podcast with 3 of your besties who would benefit from being fantastic.